but he credited Xander with not the advice that Xander gave him about his putting stroke, but Xander was just asking him questions about the things that he was doing when he was putting really well and winning a lot of PGA Tour events at a young age. And Xander called it his home base. And I wanted to talk to you about that because, I mean, you were a player who got the most out of the game that you had. And that I'm not saying that to disparage you in any way. I admire that in your career more than I admire anything else, is that you got it all out. Every last drop of talent, you got it. and I, you know, like I said, I think that is just a wonderful way to look back on anyone's career. But did you have home bases in your game that you went back to and that were just staples from the time you started until the time you finished?
Yeah, and it took me a while to find them because the reason I found my home bases up until that point, I hadn't any idea about my golf swing. And then when I started working with a guy called Neil Simpson, who I've spoken about before, my coach throughout my entire career, was the head pro at Mount Lawley Golf Club. Early on, he watched me hit balls and he goes, "Really, you're a pro? I mean, you hit it like a 15 handicapper, basically." So what he was saying was, look, there's no width to your golf swing. So we found these, core values with my golf swing that had to revolve around creating width so I could carry the ball a little bit further. So you talk about a home base. For me, it was creating width from the transition of the top of the backswing to the start of the downswing. That transition, if you've got width there and you could rotate your hips correctly and turn through the ball, you're able to carry the ball. And I learned how to flight the ball high with no spin into the wind. That was one thing I really worked on. And when I was struggling with my game, that's what I'd go back to. I'd find a driving range or I'd go back to Mount Lawley because the sea breeze would come in every afternoon. I'd go down the back of the range and I'd hit into the wind and I'd keep hitting balls until I figured out, okay, how do I hit this high into the wind and without any spin? And once I got that down, well, then I was back to where I needed to be with my golf swing. Same thing went with my putting and things like that. You have your core fundamentals that you need to work on every single part of your session just to familiarize yourself with it and, well, not familiarize, but reinforce. And if you watch Scottie Scheffler, whenever he practices, what does he go back to? Fundamentals, grip, stance, posture. That's all he works on.
That's right.